For dinner, and guess what I had for lunch?
What'd you have for lunch?
Skyline.
Oh my god.
Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Uh, well, beyond it just being the Cincinnati treat, I also love Skyline because they have red cream soda from a fountain machine, Janine.
Okay, that does fuck.
Yeah,
I'll fuck with that. Yeah, hell
yeah.
yeah.
And like during the summer, they will do like cream soda floats or like pop floats. So you can get a red cream soda float or an orange soda float or a Coke float or a root beer float if you don't want to be as adventurous.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not always just weird stuff.
But it
So,
is primarily weird stuff.
weird stuff is subjective, and I think if you gave Skyline Chili a try, you would understand it a bit more. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some food from Texas that I would be highly suspect of.
I don't think so. There's only good food here.
Weird Texas food. 7 of the weirdest foods that Texans only eat. No, I would eat rattlesnake. Chili without beans. No, that makes sense. Frito pie is not weird.
Yeah, Frito pie fucks.
Fried gator. Yeah, I would eat that. A chimichanga is not weird. Deer sausage is just venison. When I did that school trip, I had to cook up a bunch of venison for venison sloppy joes. And breakfast tacos aren't weird. The That was a very disappointing list. Okay, let's see what My Kiss 103.1 has. Uh Shark steak. Okay, that's a bit weirder. Fried butter, that's a bit weirder. Quail eggs, that's British. Cactus, I've had the chance to have it in New Mexico. Alligator again. Gizzards, that's not that weird. There used to be a place called Buckeye Fried Chicken, and it was a weird store because it was a round building and it looked like it had a nipple. Tripe, tripe, I don't think that's cow tongue. No, I've had cow tongue. I love some lingua. Barbacoa is not weird. Grilled snakes, yeah, yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Texas doesn't have any weird foods. Ahoy there, and welcome back to DohMance Dawn, your site for is something weirder than Skyline Chili, Texas edition. The stars at night are big and bright, but not
In
weirder
the
than
heart
Skyline
of
Chili.
Texas.
I'm Luke, he, him, sometimes they, them, because, gender, it's what you make of it. And I am joined by my lovely, wonderful, and gregarious co host, Janine, who isn't going to have a third thing to say this week.
He says that because he thinks he can be able to reverse psychology. Hello! My name is Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I, famously, do not have a third thing to say.
Mm-hmm. You went to the course and are like, hey, new name, middle name is, doesn't have a third thing to say. And they're like, sure, this makes sense. Janine famously does not have a third thing to say. This is DohMance Dawn, the podcast where we talk about One Piece and The Simpsons, and we cast Simpsons characters as One Piece characters. It's episode 74. Wow.
I could not fathom the number 74 when we recorded episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
So go us, hell yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing this for about 3 years because we've also had the fillers, and I think we had like 1 or 2 bye weeks in there. Pretty soon we'll be at episode 76. And you know what 76 is?
Is it where we're going to have to do a whole bunch of names all at once?
No, that's the number of trombones in the big parade. 110 cornets close at hand. They're followed by rows and rows of the finest virtuosos, the cream of every famous band. I
I,
really
I
need to sing
forget.
more.
I forget that you're a song and dance man.
Yeah, I'm a song and dance man. I don't have that button. I retired that button a while ago. Yeah, the closest thing that I can make a button is I do have the Slim Whitman. Ooh, like I could turn that into a button, or I've got the like opening lines from "It's Not Unusual" by Tom Jones.
Why?
We were talking before about how I had done a table read of Mars Attacks.
All right.
Yeah,
So you came prepared.
yeah.
Okay.
Janine, when we're talking about me and my preparation, I think that and that's where I'm going to put in the "It's Not Unusual" stinger. It's not unusual to prepare for the podcast, but but I am not always really up to task. But da 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 da. Yeah, I'm all hopped up because I had a cherry Pepsi with dinner and I added a bit of rum in, and that was 3 hours ago.
Damn. Getting turned in here.
Yeah. So, the episodes we are covering this week ran from April 25th through May 23rd of the year 2010. And the first episode was The Squirt and the Whale. Lisa finds a beached whale she calls Bluella after a massive windstorm and tries to save it with Homer's help, but ultimately fails, and the whale's carcass is blown up. They do not blow up a living whale. That's important. When Lisa feels guilty, she discovers that its calves are being attacked by sharks, and she and Homer almost chase them off, but they are stopped by conservationists who say that they can't do that because the sharks have equal right to eat them babies. And then Homer falls into the water. The sharks think that he is a baby whale and go after him, but then he and the calves are saved by Bluella's partner. And I guess it's about the circle of life. It's a solid Lisa episode.
I have issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like that there is some tonal whiplash every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Like,
bet- Between the jokes and gags, and then immediately going into a very emotional scene with Lisa, then going then immediately into more
wacky.
gags. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a fair criticism of the episode. They're trying to cut through the treacle a bit, and it don't work. Or, well, no, it's more they're trying to inject treacle into it, and it doesn't work. Like the dream sequence where Lisa like thinks that, oh no, they've saved the whale, and then it starts swimming in the stars is like this beautiful moment, and it's kind of just sinks into you how dark it is. When it's like, nope, that's not what happened. Yeah. Also, there's a whole like opening plot about the Simpsons getting unwind power that becomes completely irrelevant.
It's so dumb.
Yeah,
Like,
like it's an entire act. It's not just an opening bit because it's like, Oh, they go to the alternative energy fair. They set it up. Oh, they Homer makes them cut off from the main power line, and then the kids have to go and make sure that there's electricity, and then Bart prays for wind, and that's how the whale ends up. Like, that's pretty much Act One. It's weird, but you know what else we need to talk about, Janine?
What do we got to talk about?
To Surveil with Love, an episode that made Luke in the year 2010 very angry because of the Kesha opening. Mind you,
Yeah.
this was when I hadn't been watching The Simpsons, and I thought, "Oh, this is sacrilege! I can't believe they took some fly by night artist like Kesha and used one of her songs." I did air quotes there. Did the air quotes pick up, Janine?
In the context of you pointing it out now,
Mm-hmm.
I could be able to really appreciate the delivery.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just very stupidly indignant about this, and watching it now when I am a fan of what my car radio display likes to call key haw. Yeah, no, I think it's fun. I think that TikTok is a bop. It's a banger, and the party don't stop. No, oh. Also, I think somehow my brain had just created the memory where it was Lisa singing the entire song, which it's not. It's the entire town getting into it like it's a YouTube video from around this era.
I had just some small. I got mad,
Mm-hmm.
and not because it was sacrilege.
Mm-hmm.
I got mad because I think they could have done Kesha better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they leaned onto like uh literal definition of some of the lyrics a little bit too much, and it just kind of like, I don't know, doesn't feel so fun. It kind of feels like a little bit too smart.
Mm. Fair. I think it can be a hard line to balance, but also this is kind of like the start of them doing a lot more of these what I'd call stunt openings, where there have been occasional special episodes like the Treehouse of Horrors where they do a different opening, but this is going to be kind of the beginning of the long couch gag or the special opening.
I think that this falls for me under um, kind of a category that we see a lot in
Mm-hmm.
these later Simpson seasons, where it's like it did not resonate with me,
Mm-hmm.
but I appreciate the effort because
Fair.
I do like when the Simpsons tries stuff.
And speaking of trying stuff, Homer is unwittingly used to smuggle nuclear waste out of the plant and ends up leaving it at a train station where security blows it up, causing a nuclear explosion. The town, now afraid of terrorists, sets up surveillance cameras, which Flanders starts using to judge people, leading to Bart and Homer setting up a backyard blind spot club, which frustrates Marge when she finds out, as well as Flanders, who realizes that he's maybe going a bit too far. So he and Homer destroy the cameras, which were actually filming for a British reality show. And then in the B plot, which is very underbaked, Lisa's made fun of for being blonde on the debate team, so she decides to dye her hair. But whoops, she actually just wore a wig and wanted to call people out because of their bias. And it's like at the beginning, it's at least waved in where it's like the townspeople ignore her concerns because she's blonde. But this is never something that's come up before, and it just no debate team would allow you to. No debate judges should allow you to disparage your like opponent that way. Like that is a ad hominem attack, or I'm not a master debater. But yeah, it does not resolve satisfactorily.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the biggest problem I have about it is that um it really just goes to show like there are some kind of like really weird race moments going on this season. And then like when we're going to be talking about like feeling the effects of discrimination, it's because you're blonde.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and the whole surveillance plot kind of just feels like a very standard Flanders plot, especially with late era Flanders.
I do like that. I don't know. Like he was just like a little nagging. Like he wasn't as judgmental as he usually was. I don't know. Maybe New Flanders is growing on me.
Fair. The the Flandersization is a complicated thing.
And a complicated thing to say.
Uh huh. Yeah. Anything else to say about this one?
I did like the Mary Poppins Terminator bot.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite
You
joke in
mean
the
the Sherry
entire thing.
Bobbins?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Technically returning character as a robot.
Mm-hmm. It's not just Marge who becomes a robot. Have no fear, we've got stories for years. The next episode, I think, is a better, more complicated one, which is Moe Letter Blues, where Moe narrates a story about the marriages of the Lovejoys, the the Nahasafi, the Flandersization, fuck, the Nahasafima Pedalons, and the Simpsons. As Mother's Day is coming up, Marge asks the family to go on a cruise so she can take care of something, and on that cruise, Homer, Reverend Lovejoy, and Apu get a letter from Moe where he says that he's leaving town and going to take one of their wives with him. And so the men start to focus on how they have kind of messed up their marriages, like at Marge's mom's 80th birthday, where there was no alcohol and Flanders keeping a tie on Homer. Homer ended up exploding at Patty and Selma in front of Marge because they had been messing with him. Apu remembers when he and Manjula had gotten into an axe into an when he and Manjula had gotten into an argument and forgot one of their kids at Moe's, and then he took too long to go after the child, so Manjula went instead, and then played Dance Dance Evolution with Moe at the bar. And then uh, Helen overheard, and then Helen has been frustrated with Lovejoy since they never go to places, and the parson warned Reverend Lovejoy that uh, he needs to do something to kind of get her attention, and then the husbands return uh, to the and then the husbands return to Springfield in time, and we get a scene of Moe confessing to one of them about feelings, and then it turns out that Homer's fuck, yeah, I did not clean up my notes for this one, and so the husbands return. Homer sees Marge packing a bag in the window, but it turns out that she's painting her mother, who explained what happened with Patty and Selma. Lovejoy returns to the church to find Helen has packed up for a trip with him on the Turkish Express because she knows that he's horny for trains, which is going to become a recurring bit more and more. And Apu comes home to find Manjula and Moe, and she reveals that Moe convinced her to stay with Apu because deep down they do want to stay together. And Moe reveals that he lied about the letter so that the men would be better to their wives, which it's a pretty good premise, and I think that all three of these men can do better in their relationships.
This was a very confusing one for me
Mm-hmm.
because this is a very nice thing that Mo's done,
Mm-hmm.
but done in a particular fashion that only Mo could be able to do. Very cruel and horrible. But um yeah, I liked it. Like there's some stuff that happens with Mo in another episode coming
Mm-hmm.
up soon, but
Mm-hmm.
I do like this Mo.
Yeah.
And I'll say that. And I'll get back to you how I feel about Mo after that episode.
Yeah. It's Mo is being a scumbag with a heart of gold. And I think that's a good direction to move him in. We then had the Bob Next Door, where Springfield ends up cutting back on the budget of the city, which includes releasing low level prisoners. Walt Warren moves into the Simpsons, but he sounds just like Sideshow Bob, and Bart is suspicious of him and tries to prove that he is Bob. When Marge catches Bart breaking into his home, she brings him to the prison to see Bob is there. But after they leave, Bob escapes from the prison. Walt invites Bart to a baseball game, while Bob appears at the Simpsons house claiming to be the real Walt Warren, and Walt reveals to Bart that he is Bob. When Walt got early release, Bob swapped their faces and started the plan to kill Bob at the Five Corners Park. When Bob goes to stop for food, his face comes undone. A waitress lies because she is still attracted to Sideshow Bob with Walt's face, and sends the Simpsons to Mexico, while the real Walt Warren with Bob's face keeps going to Five Corners, where Bob's plan is that he can't be prosecuted if he shoots Bart across the state lines because no single act would be illegal. But then Walt comes in time, followed by Wiggum, who Bart had warned before he got headed into the car with Walt to go to the baseball game. And then the police from the other states that border Springfield show up, and Bob is arrested. And then Ted Flanders' cousin, moves into the house. So you want to know what's a weird bit of continuity that we're going to see in this episode?
What's that?
Sideshow Bob's face is just going to continue to fall off every now and then.
I don't like that.
Yeah, yeah. When it happened and we had not seen this episode, I was like, what? Because Abby and I did a rewatch. I think we'd gone back to like season 25 or so. And it was like, wait, what? What? Yeah, it's a weird, gross out gag, and I don't think that it fits. You can have face off technology, just don't make it gross.
Yeah.
It's not a treehouse of horror.
This one went places. For episodes that feature Sideshow Bob, I feels like they're running a little thin. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
we're
do
still
love the
in.
gag of like the a lot of people have that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like Frasier from Cheers. Frasier from Frasier. And they just list different roles that Kelsey Grammer has done, and it's just
A funny bit.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what's this?
Pere, 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 pere.
I had forgotten to put this onto the character sheet, so this is a mint that I had forgotten to put up earlier. Duct Tape had called me out, and I had also put in my notes, but forgot to put it on the episode sheet. Samuel L. Jackson played Jen Rummy, Ed Wuncler III's friend on the Boondocks, and Charlie Murphy was Ed Wuncler III. I had made a comment about that in the last episode, and I got called out for it. And yeah, I just wanted to put that in as a slight episode break. The last one we have is Judge Me Tender, where Moe ends up judging an ugly dog contest where he's popular as a mean judge and starts judging other contests, which means that Moe's is closed. So Homer starts being home more often, which begins to drive Marge crazy. Moe gets an offer to be a judge on American Idol and flies out to Los Angeles. And Marge, meanwhile, tries to find other bars that Homer can go to, but he's just not comfortable at those places. Moe starts hanging out with Simon Cowell, who warns him not to become the mean judge, because deep down, Simon Cowell is very lonely because people treat his criticism seriously, so he decides to be an emotionally positive judge, only to see that Simon continued to be mean, and he insults Moe when Moe calls him out for it because Simon sabotaged him, so Moe physically attacks him. Marge then considers having Homer try golfing, but then another golfer warns her that he may miss out on the rest of their life together, so she stops him, and then Moe returns to the bar, which has become popular since Moe is no longer allowed to show Fox on the TV. I think this is another solid Moe episode, but it sounds like you have some Moe problems with it.
I just don't really like that. I don't know, like, I think it really, pushes the status quo a little bit too much to have Moe be liked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of like him as a loser, and we had a lot of different Moe jokes going on that were kind of cruel to Moe, the kind of stuff that I'm used to. But, I don't know, like, I guess why he got his 15 minutes of fame makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, I'm conflicted.
I think that tapping into Moe's realistic fear that if he continues to just be mean and that's all people expect of him, he will end up being lonely, taps into a truer level of pathos that I think the episode could have explored more. But instead, it just kind of turns into a silly joke. Also, yeah, I didn't know that American Idol had this many judges at a point. Also, we've got an updated Ellen DeGeneres before Krusty turns into Ellen DeGeneres for an episode.
I don't know how to react to that.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is it
It's
Krusty as
we'll
Ellen
get a
DeGeneres?
Krusty as Ellen DeGeneres watch.
Okay.
You're welcome, Janine. Yeah. New characters unlocked include Bluella, Ted Flanders, Ryan Seacrest, Cord Ethanol, Sally Circle, Chocolate 3, Otto's dog, Willie's dog, and Octopus Beard Man. With special musical guest, filmographer Scratchy. And now we're finally to the One Piece part of the show. This week we are covering episodes 448 through 452, which include Stop Magellan! Eva-san unleashes his secret plan.
Magellan's clever scheme. The jailbreak plan is obstructed.
The jailbreak team driven into a corner. Forbidden move, Venom Demon.
Cause the last miracle, breaking through the gate of justice.
The destination is Marine headquarters. The ship sets out to rescue Ace. So, Magellan sets off after the prisoners and the Newkama, reaching the basic prisoners on level 3. So Eva and Inazuma stay behind to let the others run away before Inazuma cuts off the stairs, trapping Eva behind to face Magellan. Luffy doesn't notice until he reaches the second floor where Buggy and Co. have been freeing the other prisoners, while Galadino has been giving them weapons. Magellan breaks through Eva's defenses and heads up to the second floor where he finds Inazuma, who tries to slow him down as well. Sadie, meanwhile, gets back up and sends the beast guards to the first floor to try and block them off. And Buggy goes on the run until he runs into Crocodile, while Luffy and Jinbei knock the guards out, and Luffy happily reunites with Buggy and Galadino shortly before Magellan reappears after them. Luffy gets angry that Eva and Inazuma are missing and goes to charge in after them, but Bentham stops him, while Magellan orders security to set up a trap if they get outside. And Magellan attacks Luffy with poison, but Galadino sets up a wax wall to save them and gives them a chance to run, so Buggy starts leading the men out towards the exit. I love Galadino. I love my wax boy. I like that people are learning to use their powers in creative ways to support each other, Janine.
I like that too. I like how we have just this weird group of criminals, people that we haven't seen in a while, just coming right back into the show and having weird interactions with each other that you definitely wouldn't have gotten at Alabasta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sometimes wild to look back and see where the show was and where it's going to. I mean, it would be like if Buggy ends up a warlord of the sea or something. Luffy tells Jinbei to go out and steal the Navy ships, while Galadino provides Luffy with wax hands and feet and makes walls while the prisoners set up cannons to fire on Magellan. The guards, meanwhile, had set up a barricade on the stairs where they were quickly overpowered, and the prisoners opened the doors outside with Jinbei, Bentham, and Daz Bones prepared to fight, only to find that all the ships have moved away. And the men start to dismay until Jinbei is just like, yeah, no problem. Rips the doors of the prison off so they can float towards one of the Navy ships. And so Buggy, afraid of what's going to happen if he stays behind, jumps on board with Daz Bones and Crocodile. The fleet starts to fire at Jinbei, so he goes underwater and launches the door into the air on a current of water, allowing Daz Bones and Crocodile to descend onto the Navy ships, while Jinbei attacks the others with Fishman Karate. Luffy, meanwhile, wails on Magellan since he can touch him with the wax fist, and Magellan decides to go all out. After Luffy hits him with a Gum Gum Gatling and knocks him back, Magellan reveals that there are no ships for them outside and activates his new power, Venom Demon, where the poison now starts to sink through the wax, poisoning it and the building, and he just turns into a massive poisonous Grim Reaper, and it starts burning everything that it touches, and so Luffy and Galadino get the fuck out of there. It's a great moment of, oh, yeah, no, this is why he is the warden. Just like pure horror show, Janine.
I gotta tell you, the sequence when the face just kind of comes out and there's just kind of like a repeating animation of just goop coming out of it and the face just kind of appearing. I was high when I was seeing that. And it was such a trip. Like, and it was like not a great trip. But also it was definitely like, oh my god. I'm glad I'm having this moment with One Piece because I'm experiencing something on a different level that I wasn't anticipating to. While high.
I've been watching The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. For confusing, I'm writing horror script reasons. And occasionally the Apple TV that we have, when it needs to be reset, will just start glitching out and what it does is it just flips back and forth between two frames, essentially shit posting itself. It really messed me up the first time I started watching because it did that on a black frame, and it was like, how long is this going to be black? And then I backed out and then went back in and was like, oh, okay, so it must have been doing that, and just like it's sometimes fun when weird things happen in spooky shows about trauma and family and not doing heists. What the hell is up with that show? Meanwhile, Eva injected himself with enough hormones to reach Inazuma and then starts hell winking through the prison, arriving at the door outside before she faints. Yeah, it's like when my roommate decided to play Breath of the Wild by using the whistle roll hack, and this is actually a good use of that, unlike my roommate who just spoiled the whole idea of Breath of the Wild by playing with a speed running strategy guide and never actually experiencing the game the way that it was supposed to be experienced. Janine, I am I in the right here for being frustrated by someone doing that and then also saying the game is bad? Like if you
That
play the
is a little frustrating, but I also remember that there was a video game that you played that stressed me out the way that you played it.
what video game?
God, I don't remember, but I remember you talking about it, and I thought, wow, maybe he's a psychopath. Uh,
Animal Crossing, Balatro, Fallout. Oh, Mass Effect.
oh yeah, Mass
Yeah,
Effect.
yeah. Okay, but there's a difference between, oh, I fucked up this romance guide because I wasn't using guidebooks or anything, and so I guess my horrifying monster factory character is going to sentence their failed lover to their death. Like that's different than, oh, I'm going to play a game about exploration and just hack my way through the game and speed run it and then say that it's bad.
I
Anyway,
mean, on some level, it had to be. It had to have been fun at some point. Otherwise, why do it?
oh, I don't talk to that roommate anymore. I don't know.
Okay, moving
He
on.
Yeah, and the roommate divorce. I was just like, yeah, nope, you get the friends. All right, so Luffy gets a call from Jinbei who tells everyone to jump into the waters of the Calm Belt, and Luffy asks Galadino for one more wax fist to give them some space and uses third gear in a wax wall to kick Magellan back before Luffy shrinks. The poison returns, so everyone grabs onto Eva's giant head, and Eva hellwinks out the door. They are then rescued by a school of whale sharks that Jinbei called, and the escapees get onto the ship, and most of them pledge their loyalty to Buggy. Most of the prisoners, specifically. Magellan, meanwhile, calls in a ship, and the other Marines open fire on the survivors, though there are no high ranking officers on those ships. As they steal a ship, they approach the gates of justice, and the strong members of the crew work to weather the attacks while the gate mysteriously begins to open. As Magellan prepares to board his own ship, he finds out that he apparently ordered the gates to be opened because Bentham, our good old Mr. Two Bon Clay, disguised himself as Magellan and is sacrificing himself to let them out. And so, as the doors start to close with their ship being the only one to pass through it, Bentham destroys the controls, and Luffy calls Bentham over the transponder snail to find out why. And as they pass through the gates, leaving Bentham behind, Luffy and the prisoners thank him and promise to remember him, and Bentham asks Luffy to save his brother. And the gates close, locking out the other ships. And in the control room, Bentham vows to see his friend again as he goes to face off with Magellan.
There she goes hard.
Yeah. Pour one out for a real homie.
Hell yeah.
So, Shiryu provides antidotes to Blackbeard and his crew after Magellan had poisoned them. And on the ship, Buggy starts to celebrate with the escapees. Eva leaves Inazuma to heal up naturally, since using healing hormones takes years off their life. Galadino and Luffy commiserate over losing Bentham along with the Dukama. Buggy gets drunk and insults Bentham, which pisses off Luffy, so he knocks him out. Crocodile asks why Jinbei could command the whales, and he reveals that he's just a friend with whales, which is a good thing to be friends with, as we learned in The Simpsons, because they'll save your dad from sharks. And then Luffy finally finds out that Jinbei was a warlord, and Buggy finds out that they are headed to Navy headquarters. They can't escape because of the currents, and the prisoners start to dismay. A transponder snail call comes in that Luffy answers, and Luffy and Buggy are blamed as the ringleaders for the escape. And that's when it's revealed to everyone that Buggy was on Gold D. Rogers' ship and is an ally with Shanks, and Buggy is now a major target for the world government. Luffy declares that they are going to save Ace no matter what. Buggy decides he's going to try and kill Whitebeard, and he'll use the prisoners that he has with him. And the prisoners briefly consider turning on the powerful people until Buggy gets him to stand down, because he knows that the powerful people would be able to easily kill them and himself then. And at Marineford, the Marines evacuate everyone as Ace arrives for his execution. Ba-da-dun-dun-dun-dun. Da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun. Da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun. Da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun. Da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's my intense approach music, Janine.
It's very lovely.
Thank
Very
you.
evocative. I was moved.
I'm going to send that to Holmst Everquest, the guy who did like the New Girl theme song and then like the Planet of the Apes uh, redo trilogies, all those songs. Good old Holmst Everquest. This week we've got one character to match, and that is Akihende. And Janine, I did not include this note. Do you know what Akihende means?
No, I don't.
Do you want to guess?
I don't.
Akihende is Japanese, is a Japanese pun for Akihin Day, which means won't open, referring to his claim about the gates of justice. And his translated name is You Shall Not Pass.
Oh.
All right. So, my Rodrigo style was the bicep security guard, because in that prison, there's just that security guard, and his build, his arms are so huge. And, like, I saw that and was like, yeah, I don't really want to make more picks. But yeah, I feel like that's a good one. And then my throwback was Officer Otto, when he's a drug cop in the Sex Pistols, and then just the guy who teaches how a bill really becomes a law in the Schoolhouse Rock parody. Janine, who do you have?
I only had one.
Mm-hmm.
It was Rodrigo style,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one that I feel very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly Santa's Little Helper. They look so similar.
Okay, I'm going to look this one up. Okay, that was in Judge Me Tender. Judge Me Tender Simpsons. Simpsons Wiki. Do 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 in the gallery. Let's see if they have photos of Santa's ugly dog, but they do weirdly have some similar highlight colors. Um, but also Aki Hinde is definitely black, and we did get some criticism for not using any black characters for a few of the black coded major characters, which apparently Jinbei is uh, considered. Brooke is as well as his Usopp, though I think that's also equally. Simpsons has a dearth of black coded characters. Uh Considering that this man is not a literal dog's butt made up to look like a face, can we use bicep security guard?
Sure.
All right, we've got. I should not say we've got a diversity win, but yeah, we have our one pick for this week, which is biceps security guard. All right. Wow, next episode is 75. So you know what we're going to be doing next week, Janine?
What are we going to be doing?
We're going to be checking back in with the rest of the Straw Hats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, we're going to force him Sanji and see Fancy Frankie and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Janine, where can you be found online?
You can find me on Blue Sky, JanineJuliet.bisky.social. You can find me on Instagram at Janine is Dope. And you can find me on Flight Rising as Joyzinous. It's like poisonous, but the first three letters are Joy.
Nice.
What about you, Luke? Where are you on the internet?
You can find me most places as Koltreg, Koltreg. I no longer feel guilty because knowing that there is a guy named Koltregaskes, because you know that guy really got into using AI and is a big AI proponent. It's like, nope, I'm legally the only Koltreg now. Yeah. Find me there on Blue Sky, Koltreg.bluesky, itch.io. You know, most places. I'm on Discord, I'm on Reddit, unfortunately. And yeah, that's it. Mike Patten is our lovely cover artist currently. You can find him most places at Patten, Patten underscore Pending on Instagram. Sometimes there's no underscore, but you should hire him to make your own mashups. And yeah, we are going to be having another episode in 2 weeks. You can find us at DohManceDawn.com or on Blue Sky, DohManceDawn.bluesky, or we do have a Discord that you can join, which is the best way to get informed of things, because I usually tag everyone when new episodes come out and stuff like that. We also have a YouTube channel where you can leave comments for the show. If you haven't watched the show on YouTube, I watch most of the podcasts that I watch on YouTube now, which is mainly just Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe with Dylan and Dalton. But still, it's technically true. I am tired. I am going to go watch an episode of The Haunting of Hill House and then an episode or two of American Dad to make myself less spooked, because Janine, guess what?
What?
I'm a big old coward.
Aw.
Mm-hmm. Like, Oh, if I saw a big monster, I would be afraid. If I saw a ghostly gentleman, I would be afraid. If I was a giant cat person who asked riddles, you know what I'd be?
What would you be?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Sphinx!
Uh, so we'll be back next week for some good, some bad, and some We'll be back next episode for some good, some bad, and some recaps. We'll see you then. Peace.